Hi, my name is Jimmy Williams with NFL Draft Diamonds, and I have a diamond in the rough for you guys to meet today. He's an excellent specialist. His name is Ricardo Chavez. He is a punter and kicker out of Idaho. Nice to meet you, sir.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
So yeah, I obviously introduced you as a punter and a kicker, which both of which you do fairly well at, which is somewhat unique. I mean, these days, I mean, you don't see guys doing both for whatever reason, but had great success with that. And you've gained a lot of notoriety and accolades over the years, man. There in the Big Sky. So let's kind of start off the story, dude. Tell us where you're from and start walking through it.
Yeah, thank you though for the intro. I'm from Los Angeles, California. Currently living in Moreno Valley, which is about an hour apart. I played soccer my whole life from the age of 4 to 17. Um, I was a goalkeeper. So yeah, from there I went over to when I moved to Moreno Valley, which was my junior year of high school, is when I started say I wanted to play a little bit of football. When I told my parents that, it kind of struck them a bit just because of how much we invested in time, money, everything in soccer. And for them to hear that was just like, man, football, that's a very contact sport. Like, I don't know how I feel about it. But once I told them, no, mom, I want to be a kicker, that's when everything was like, okay, okay, now, I don't really have to worry too much. But from there on, I decided, went out to my high school. They were already, I would say, tryouts were done. I was kind of late since I was a transfer. Um, Went out there and I asked the head coach if I was able to try out, and he gave me a shot. He liked what he saw, and he told me the next day to come back. And ever since then, I never looked back, and I just decided I wanted to kick.
Cool. Well, you took care of at least my next few questions, but I do want to kind of go back and highlight some of them. Uh, you were obviously had mentioned soccer guy forever, and you get a lot of that for guys that kick for whatever reason. They usually come from soccer, and so interesting though enough for you being a goalkeeper. Like I don't know. Exactly how that translates, to be quite honest with you, because usually, like, the kickers could come from other positions there on the field, for soccer. So, I guess somewhat interesting if you think about it, especially as a punter, because, when the ball's coming at you, I guess you have to, obviously, react like you would a goalkeeper, of course, you always want that ball in the right spot. So, hopefully, you don't have to fly around too much.
Right.
But obviously, you were there, Marino, California. Grew up as a soccer player, and then, like you said, talking through this whole idea of you being a kicker in football, in American football.
Right.
So, which that was again my next question is, how in the world did you get to where you were with this whole kicking thing? But what made you want to make the switch, man? What made you want to be a kicker in American football rather than soccer?
Right. I mean, well, I played with the LA Galaxy Academy. So I was playing competitive soccer for quite a bit, and my dream was to become a professional soccer player. And from the time we made the transition to, sorry, you
You're
here?
good.
Oh, yeah, I made the transition to Moreno Valley. It was a very long commute, and my parents no longer couldn't do that. So from there, I decided that I just I wanted to kick footballs. That's when I had the opportunity to do that at my high school, and from there, I never looked back at it.
Gotcha. And so you said that you're a little late coming to the game of football, which is okay as a specialist. I mean, dude, you've been kicking some, you know, ball of sorts for your entire life, so it's not like it changes too much. But out of high school, you end up going to River City College. So how did that work, man? Can you walk me through that whole I guess, timeline?
Yeah, so out of high school I had no offers, no interest in soccer and football. So from there I just Googled up a community college around me and came to find out Riverside City College was a great program in football. So I just had a my head coach at my high school had connections there at Riverside City. He was actually the offensive coordinator and the O-line coach, and he gave out my number to the special teams coordinator. Coordinator came in contact with me, which Shannon Silva. He gave me that opportunity to go out there, and I went out there and just stuck with it.
I mean, obviously, for you, kind of because you probably came to the game a little late. I don't know if that sort of forced you to go the JUCO route, just to more or less establish yourself as a football player. But for a lot of guys, when they go the JUCO route, they're really kind of thrust in a position where they are really tested as to whether or not they truly love the game. So, um, is I guess can you maybe I guess expound upon that a little bit? Like, was there a time there in JUCO where you were tested or what?
Oh, definitely, man. JUCO is a lot of adversity there. Just for me, I just loved kicking. I just loved it. I felt that I had a future in it, and I had a vision for myself that from there on, if it wasn't in soccer, it had to do something with kicking. And I fell in love with the game just watching it too on the sidelines, just my teammates, the competitive side about it, how you really you're somewhere in life up here, you drop down and you just want to climb back up no matter how whether it's with something soccer or football, but for me it was football, and from there kicking to me was something that I fell in love with.
Nice. And again, from your JUCO there, you end up going to Idaho, the Van with the Vandals. So, and really seeing good success there, being an all-conference athlete. Talk about that, man. How did you eventually get your opportunity there?
So Coach RH, he was the very first guy in the recruiting process to have contact with me when he was at the University of South Dakota. Somehow we couldn't really work out the situation there for me to go play there. So he ended up getting the job at Idaho. And while I was still having contact with different schools, to me, Coach RH really stood out with the whole recruiting. He felt everything was very genuine with him. Our connection was very strong, and from there he told me that he was at Idaho. Coach Eck, the head guy there, ends up FaceTiming me and sends out an offer. So I fell in love with the community and the whole just atmosphere there at Idaho. Although it was snowing, I knew there was a dome, so I knew it wasn't going to be forever.
Well, that's good, man. I mean, obviously coming from this nice sunny side of California, you didn't necessarily want to be you know dealing with snow. So obviously the snow, you probably would have experienced that also, like if you would have ended up at South Dakota. But of course, being in a dome there at Idaho, it works. So, anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about you as a specialist. Again, very interesting prospect, that being a punter and a kicker. Dude, I do feel like that is really what sets you apart. And I'm just going to be real. Like, there's not too many guys that can do both. I mean, I think most kickers and punters would probably tell you that they could,
Right.
but maybe not as successfully as you have done. Um, is there anything else about you as a specialist which you feel sets you apart other than that?
Well, I mean, I do punt left-footed and I kick field goals right-footed. So I felt like that's something big to my advantage just on the fatigue side where I don't really, I use both of my legs for two different things instead of just one. And over time, that could definitely be a disadvantage for myself. But with the glory of God blessing me with that, being able to punt left footed and kick field goals right footed is definitely something very unique in that aspect.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's a little odd, honestly, because I can't, for the life of me, figure out how in the world you can do that like mindfully. I don't know how that happens, but dude, being ambidextrous in that sense is phenomenal. Again, kicks with right, punts with lefts. You think you might be able to do it like in reverse? Like, have you ever tried that?
I've definitely tried that. Just like you mentioned earlier, kickers will tell you they can. So that's something I'm telling you I can, but maybe not to that extent where I'm doing it in a game.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, the other thing too is I don't feel like a lot of fans really understand the day to day when it comes to being a specialist. So, walk me through your day to day, man. I mean, what are your favorite kicking drills, and just kind of what do you do as you're practicing?
Something very that sticks out with me is a lot of recovery and making sure that I'm stretching. Our flexibility is something that could take our game to a very high level if you maintain those two things with recovery and stretching. And then of course, when you go out there and do your drills, you got to make sure you're not it depends where you're at in the season and in off season. So like during season, you don't want to kick too much because obviously you have a lot of kicks going into a game. Roughly before a pregame, you're kicking about 100 balls with including your warm ups. Then you have your game kicks, and then now when the game actually starts, you have those. So during the game you have a lot of kicks, and then throughout the week it just all adds up. And then in your off season is something different. That's when you could actually get all the kicks you want. You could get all the kicks. Make sure you're right. When it comes to drills, I like just aiming at the pole from the sideline. That's something I work for my accuracy. Making sure that's on point, and then I have a trainer out here, Next Level Kicking, Joey Cejudo, a very very great guy that trains me here in California. And yeah, it's something that I do out here in Cali.
Gotcha. Is there anything of this that really you put in your you know training, and that is how do you prepare for something that normally a kicker and punter don't do? Like, is there anything, you know what I mean? If you understand what I'm meaning, like, sometimes things just don't go perfectly. You know what I mean? Either the weather sucks or the ball is not put in the right spot, or heaven forbid you got to chase down some dude for a tackle. Like, is there any sort of other training that you might do on top of like the normal kicking punting drills?
Right. Well, I mean, to start off with the tackling one, Idaho does a great job, with their specialists, making sure they get into those drills with other guys on the team, making sure we get our knowing how to tackle our techniques. So they take care of all that for us. And then with the hold, like it could be a hold weather. The good thing about Idaho is you can train both. You can go outside when it's really cold, snowy, rainy, or you can go inside where it's perfect conditions. And for me, I would make sure to try to keep a balance. So I would go inside sometimes, I go outside, and then sometimes you just got to get some holds with laces. You're not always going to have that perfect ball, and there's times where it could be 1 or 2 reps because in a game that's all you have, and it could be those two reps you get laces. But yeah, you try to kind of keep a balance in between all those.
Gotcha. Have you taken plenty reps as a holder? I mean, I know that you're a kicker and a punter, but like, have you been practicing that as part of you? You know, I guess
Yeah,
repertoire.
no, I'm glad you asked that. So there was a time at Riverside City where I got injured, and I just didn't want to sit out. whether I was gonna go out and hold the ball, and that's what I was gonna do. And that was my first time doing that, and I would make sure to get reps. Um, I was out for a whole game, but that was a game I went out there and I was holding. So from there on, I just always looked at it as if, you never know what could happen. You just need to be a liability for your team somehow, some way. And ever since then, even when I was a starting kicker, I would try to get holds on the sideline. And now you mentioned that at the Tropical Bowl, they brought me in as a punter and a holder. So they had me holding the whole time there. And to me, it wasn't nothing. I was nervous because I've done it before. Because if I was just to go out there, it was going to be something new to me and probably wouldn't be the best thing.
Yeah, it's funny. I want to say, I'm trying to remember. Pat McAfee has a story about him. Someone asked him whether or not he, was a holder at some point, and he just he sort of just made the crap up. He's like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I did that. And then of course they thrust him out there, and thank God he didn't mess things up because
Yeah.
again, you got to be able to react very quickly, spot that ball, laces out, and all that jazz. Make sure it's in the right, form for the kicker. But of course, you a little different, man. I mean, again, you are the kicker, you are the punter,
Yeah.
and so very different set of circumstances there for you at Idaho. But even with that, man, one of the things that comes with it is really just this really good relationship among the specialists. So, talk about that with your teammates there at Idaho. Talk about those guys and just kind of, you know, I guess the bond that you had to make there as
Right.
teammates.
Yeah. I mean, well, since you mentioned the holding part, I had my roommate. He was my holder. His name was LJ Harm. He was also a JUCO transfer. But from there, we had quite some similarities. And as a kicker, you want to know how to hold it because you want to know how that ball is going to be. And for him, shout out to him because he was a very quick learner, very coachable. And there was times where we would be at home and I would have to teach him myself on how to hold it, how to lean it, and he adapted quick. There was times it was 11 p.m. and we're out there getting some holds. I would give him some tosses, making sure we're getting our reps in every night, and then from there on, that's definitely something that helped during the season. With confidence just all around. And yeah, with him, we had a very great relationship. And then, just with my teammates in general, I felt like as a kicker there, they really take that serious. Head coach does a great job, acknowledging us as specialists, and you don't feel that awkward, just going in there and kicking and leaving. You're actually, you're having a great time with all the teammates there.
Um, I hear the long snapper there at Idaho is pretty darn good too. Talk about him.
Oh yeah, man, Hogan Haddon, he's phenomenal. He's great. He makes our job easier because that ball starts with him, and without him, definitely wouldn't have these accomplishments we have there at Idaho.
Yeah, interestingly enough, we had his twin at the Senior Bowl, but and he was you know really trying to I guess convince us to bring his brother with us. But I mean, the thing is still I know because we have done our homework, he is a really good long snapper for people that are looking into a long snapper as well. So
Oh yeah,
uh,
definitely. It comes very natural to him. It's very natural. Just those brothers in general, they're very great athletes. Hogan, which was a snapper, he played linebacker, so he was just a crazy athlete. And when it came to snapping, there was times where my first year there, he was a starting linebacker. All of a sudden, he has to come snap, fingers all messed up, and he would go out there and he would do his job. He wouldn't complain. He would just go there and just do what he has to do.
definitely need to have I guess a particular type of personality to be a specialist.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
think most people would say that for most specialists, especially with a punter and a kicker, you kind of need to be comfortable on an island, kind of in your own head. Would you say that that's accurate, man? I mean, are you comfortable in your own head or what?
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a psychologist I work with there at Idaho that helps us with the whole mental side of the game and just in life in general. You know, to this day, I try still keep in contact with her to make sure everything's going well. I just got off the phone with her maybe about 2 days ago, and it's little things in the game where, especially as a kicker, that you may think you might not need it, but it's definitely worth a shot. Something that personally helps me. And for example, if things are not going my way. I have this little tattoo here I have that I just literally just rub on it and tell myself good things, and from there on, like it makes me lock in more into my game.
Nice, nice. Well, Ricardo, again, just wanted to highlight your career once again. Very successful kicker and punter. When I was trying to look up some of your highlights, a couple of things came to mind. I mean, obviously, you've been punting the ball very well. You know, able to punt that ball pretty darn far regularly. Also was able to get a 53-yard, field goal this past season against Weber State, which is really nice. Would you say that maybe that was like your biggest highlight, or was there perhaps like another time in your career where you would say you had an even bigger highlight? But uh, share one of those moments if you don't mind.
Right. Well, I would say that's definitely a top one up there. You know, there's the Sac State game was a game winner. And that one kind of stuck with me a little more just because last year, well, the first year we played them, we lost by 3. Whether that field goal came in the first quarter, although it came to, bite us at the end, but that was something that, I took with me and was like, man, like if I could have just made that, we could have tied the game, go to overtime or something. But for that to happen again at the Dome, and it came to to the whole team just to end it with a field goal, the offense getting us in great position and making it a 30-yard field goal for me to win the game. And, it was something very special to me. And then just doing it again in the playoffs against SIU, another game winner. Yeah, you can't beat those game winning feelings.
No, you can't. Even if it's a 30 yarder, I mean, you can't beat those. But certainly a guy who can go out there and execute some good kicks at a further distance too. That being, I want to say that 53, that was your max, right?
53, yes, that was my biggest field goal there at Idaho.
Cool. And again, after your time there at Idaho, you had a opportunity to go down to the Tropical Bowl. Can you share about that experience a little bit?
Yeah, definitely. That was a great experience. Just going out there, um, you know, giving it my practice. I was blessed enough to have some great talks with some coaches, some scouts there. I had very great conversations. And yeah, who was with the Bears and Green Bay. Had great talks with them. Great people, and
Yeah.
just overall was a great experience.
I think I don't know what their situation is with specialists, man. But I will tell you this: that teams that don't put an effort into locking down their special teams and focusing on their special teams, they don't win it. If you saw any of the playoffs, there were several games where it's like they lost it because of special teams.
Right,
And so very obviously a crucial part of the game of football. So
definitely.
um, Ricardo, is there anything else about you that you want to share, whether it be your hobbies, interests, any special talents other than the game of football? I mean, anything you want to share about yourself?
Man, I'm very, very big golf guy. Like I mentioned with my roommate down in Idaho, he was someone that got me into the game. I used to go out there and think like, man, how do these guys like this game? Like you're just hitting a ball and you got to go chase it. But man, when I tell you he was out there, he was like, "Man, come to the range with me." And I went out there, and he had some old clubs in his bag that he was a lefty, so I couldn't use his clubs. And he had some at home that were righty, but they were very old. And he brought them down, and I just started hitting the ball. I started maybe like 100 balls, and from there, man, it was something where I just fell in love with it myself, and I ended up purchasing myself some, and now I'm there every Sunday. I go every Sunday and I play the game, and I love it now.
Cool. So ambidextrous with his feet, but not his hands for
Right?
some
Yeah,
weird
yeah.
reason.
Right-handed
Um,
for
well,
everything.
that's all right. Obviously sitting in a fairly comfortable gaming chair.
Yep.
You consider yourself a little bit of a gamer too?
Yeah, definitely. I play a lot of Madden and I play a lot
Gotcha.
of Call of Duty. That's something where Madden, I put my head into a quarterback. That's the reason why I love it because I try to make these reads. I try to play like a quarterback, but that's where like the fun comes in because I could actually play a different position besides just kicking. That. Put myself in another quarterback's mind.
Well, I mean, you never know. Maybe at some point, perhaps you'll have like a fake punt or something and have that moment. But I don't know. We'll see if when and if that time does come. But
Right.
um, uh, let's see. I want to ask you at least a couple more just for fun. Uh, music. Is there something that you listen to in the locker room to get you kind of ready for the game, or are you kind of zoning out to just other things?
Yeah, I mean, so it's crazy. Like I switch it up every week. I never have a specific playlist that I listen to every week. There's times where I want to listen to some hip hop before a game, or there's times where I just want to listen to some regular calm genres, but it's not always the same. It's different artists every single week, and for me, yeah, that I don't really stick to one genre.
No, I hear you. I just, just kind of thinking of like that moment, maybe perhaps when you have this one kick that you have to
Right,
execute out there for everybody, and you maybe like have a song or something in your head that
right.
helps you deliver an accurate kick. I don't, I don't know. I just figured I'd ask that question because I thought it would be a fun one. But
Right. No, yeah. No, I definitely have my favorite artist, I would say would be, man, that's a tough one. I'd say maybe Meek Mill. Meek Mill,
okay,
someone, yeah, someone I would listen to if I had to get into that
all
zone.
right, nice.
Dreams and nightmares.
Well, Ricardo, we've been talking about you and your story, which is a very unique one with you and your path and your overall abilities. Obviously, you had mentioned again, like there were some teams at the Tropical Bowl that had interest, but I would also imagine that throughout the course of the season that you did, draw some eyes from other teams, other scouts who might be interested. So I want you to go ahead and talk to those scouts out there and tell them why you would make a great addition to their team. So go ahead and close us with your thoughts.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to I definitely think I would make a great addition to the team because for me it's never something individual. I always want to make sure the whole team is able to come together. Definitely someone that's not just on the sideline, whether we're on defense or offense. I try to help out the rest, not in my own space. Definitely come out there giving my all, 100% every single time. Something where you know it comes day by day, somewhere where I'm able to just help the whole team in general, and just make something for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about your uniqueness as a prospect. I mean, again, uh, punter and kicker. Again, kicks with his right, punts with his left. Maybe in a pinch could do vice versa, but not necessarily something that you practice regularly. But certainly very unique, very successful. Also, I mean, you were first team all conference this past season, and really did an excellent job. So. But Ricardo, I know right now you're training, you're getting yourself prepared for pro days and such. And I just kind of want to wish you very best of luck in this process. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Sure thing. Again, we got Ricardo Chavez. He is a punter and kicker out of Idaho. Check this guy out.